Hello, everyone. Welcome to Campus Safety Voices. I'm Robin Hattersley, Editor-in-Chief of Campus Safety Magazine. A healthcare organization can have great emergency response plans, but if they aren't tested, how can you tell if the plans actually work? Also, how can you determine if your officers, staff members, nurses, and doctors will respond appropriately under stress? You can't. That's why it's so important for hospitals to conduct emergency drills and exercises. However, full-scale emergency exercises can be challenging to conduct in healthcare settings. A viable alternative to full-scale exercises is tabletop exercises, and Ballad Health has adopted this approach. In this interview, Ballad Health Corporate Director and Chief Security Officer Ken Harr, who is also one of this year's Campus Safety Director for Year Finalists, describes his organization's tabletop exercises, why they adopted this approach, and the results of this program. He also provides advice to other hospital security executives on these types of practice drills. So here's my interview with Ken Harr. Enjoy the show. So Ken, you choose to conduct tabletop exercises rather than full-scale active shooter exercises. Why?
So in a healthcare setting, I believe it's very dangerous to conduct a full-scale active shooter exercise into one of the facilities. There's too many moving parts with patients, visitors coming in the facility. If someone hears or sees something, they may react to the situation. The last thing we need is someone interjecting their own weapon into a drill.
Okay, and were the tabletops you ran, were they only for active shooters or for other emergencies?
So no, we've ran tabletops for other emergencies. We've done active shooter, opioid overdose with multiple victims, mass casualties, severe weather, regional exercises with evacuations throughout Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia in both states for all of our facilities.
Okay, so what's all involved in each tabletop exercise? How long do they take? How often do you do them and how frequently, and who participates?
Sure. So, you got to plan the exercise, location, scenario, coordinate the times with the people that are involved. So depending on the exercise, say an active shooter exercise, it takes 1 to 2 hours. The full scale exercises with evacuations, they may take 4, 5, 6 hours to complete those particular types of exercises. We schedule, we also have what we call mini tabletop exercises that take about 20 minutes. And what those are is we go out in the facility and go to each unit and talk to them about, active shooter. What would you do if the person came in down the hallway right now with a weapon? What is your response? Where are you going? Run, hide, fight. Let them walk us through exactly what they're going to do at that particular moment. So we can narrow it down to about 20 minutes or like I say, a real exercise for active shooter, about 1 to 2 hours for the tabletop.
And how often do you conduct these exercises? Because you've got 22 facilities that you do security for. Wow. How often do you do them per facility?
So we make sure that we do this at least every 2 years at every facility.
For the active shooter, but you also have these. What about the other types of exercises, like for other emergencies, like opioid addiction, things like that?
So we schedule those out maybe 1 a year for those particular types of incidents. But yes, active shooter we do every 2 years to make sure that everybody that's involved is still on the same page if something does happen.
So do you do, getting back to the other emergency exercises, do you do those every year as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, considering you are responsible for the security for 22 facilities, how do you go about managing the tabletop exercises for all those locations and all the people involved? Like, do you delegate?
So I do delegate some of the planning, but I also attend every exercise. I like to maintain the working relationship with law enforcement. So I do the planning with them, especially when it comes to, active shooter and having them involved. So I like to have that relationship with them. And like I say, I delegate some of it, but I am there at every exercise.
So, how did you get buy-in from top executives as well as non-security staff members for all this exercises? I know it can take time out of their days and they're probably really busy. How do you get buy-in? How do you get their support?
Actually, especially with active shooter, it's very easy. With everything that's going on in the world, the frequency, the mass shootings, everyone's concerned and everyone wants to be prepared just in case something does happen inside one of our facilities.
So, what have been the results of your tabletop exercises? Better incident response overall, changes to improve your incident response?
It does. Team members who have attended the exercises have a better understanding of what to do and what to expect if something does arise.
And have you experienced any actual incident where you've been able to apply those lessons you've learned from the tabletop exercises to actual events?
But we've had some mass casualty incidents that have come in, car wrecks and things of that nature, that we've been able to put in place, and that we've done the exercises prior.
Great. And so, what lessons have you learned from all these exercises?
So one of the things that we learned, especially with the active shooter um, tabletop, is with law enforcement. Law enforcement is going to respond to your facility if something like this occurs. But in healthcare settings, we have a lot of access control that prohibits people from gaining entry into a lot of areas. So as we're going through the exercise, we noticed that law enforcement would not be able to get to a lot of locations because of the access control. So from that, we come up with two options. One was we made go bags that are in designated locations that have access control cards, radios, blueprints of the facility, things of that nature, so they can actually pick that up and get around. Some of the other law enforcement agencies that touch us that wanted it, we all actually offered them access control cards for each of their cruisers. And so inside their cruiser, they have a access control card that they can get around in the facility that touches their particular area.
Well, and you bring up a really good point because I know maybe last year or a couple of years ago, there was actually an incident where law enforcement couldn't get in because of because of the access control. And
Yeah.
so, the fact that you are giving them access is a really good thing. Any advice to other healthcare facilities considering a similar approach to exercises and drills?
I would just make sure you get everyone involved, get everybody's buy-in, and don't just include a specific group. Don't just get with the managers, the directors, or the C-suite. Make sure you get everyone involved that's inside those facilities, from security to EVS to nursing, to physicians, everybody that works there, get them involved.
And if you had to do it over again, would you do anything differently?
I wouldn't.
Great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything we've missed that you want to add?
No, ma'am. I think that is it.
All right. Well, Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.